I'm Liz.
I'm Robby. Welcome back to our channel, Bookworm Couple. Today we are going to be talking about the third book in the Wheel of Time series, The Dragon Reborn.
Dragon Reborn.
Yeah, how are you feeling
Rand
about
himself.
it? Yeah.
I loved this one. Stop. Full stop.
We finally got her. Amazing.
Yeah, I really loved this one.
Great. Well, do you have some spoiler-free thoughts before we dive into specifics?
Spoiler-free thoughts.
Yeah. Like what things you liked, things you didn't like.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I don't think there's a whole lot of spoilers in this particular book because we already know Rand, the Dragon Reborn. He's announced himself as the Dragon Reborn, so I feel like that's like the spoileriest spoiler, and it's not a spoiler anymore. All in all, I enjoyed this adventure a lot. I don't understand the math of like how often we are with each group or character, because I feel like does that make sense?
I'm not.
No, let me explain.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. And I love how much we're adventuring with these different characters, and as all of the books, they've split up at some point. So we've got these different POV chapters for a long time. And I like that a lot because I like to get to know these characters and they all feel different. It always takes me a minute because we spend so long with each group. And then I'm like, wait, why have we moved now? Like, it is...
Oh, okay, so you mean like why did the author make the choice? Why did the author make the choice to be like, I'm moving to a different
POV now we're with that. We've been with the
I don't
three,
think there's like a math behind
No,
that.
there's not.
Okay.
But it's a little bit jarring for me because I'm like, I've been with my three Aes Sedai wannabe chicks, Egwene, Elaine, and Nynaeve for so long, and I love it. I'm having so much fun, and then all of a sudden I'm like in Parent's Head, and I'm like, wait a minute, well, hold on, I need a minute to like adjust.
Sure.
Which is super fine, but I think that's what I'm saying, of like, it doesn't feel like there's a rhyme or reason to when we're switching POVs, which is a little bit jarring for me.
Sure.
But I loved all of the POVs this time around. I feel like I got to know a lot of the characters better, which is very much what I want.
Yes.
Especially Matt. I feel like we really got to know Matt.
Matt finally starts to become like a real character
oh my God.
in this book.
He's so funny.
Mm-hmm.
He's such a sass.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many like lines, quotes of his that I wrote down here because I was just like cackling at just the little one-liners, the little zingers he's got. And yeah, I just really enjoyed this journey. I thought it was really fun. Dare I say it was because Rand was barely in this book? I'm gonna say that's probably why.
All right. All right. Well, look, I'll take it however I can get it. That's very. I'm really happy to hear that you really like this one.
Yeah, I loved it.
So I guess we'll move on to the spoiler-filled part. So if you haven't read The Dragon Reborn at this point, I'm kind of surprised that you're on this video. To be completely frank.
I guess we're that
entertaining. Anyway, if you haven't read this book yet, go ahead and stop now. We're going to start talking about spoilers in 3, 2, 1. So yes, Rand is not.
Rand is barely in this book.
And is that why you really like it so much?
No, I just think that I enjoy the other characters so much, and it feels like Rand is written very one note to me, of like, the like, oh man, I'm the Dragon Reborn, I don't even want to be, and that's all we get. Like, there's not a lot more, and it's so frustrating. Like, I told you, the one passage, literally, it was like in the dream, and he's like, oh man, I killed a bunch of people with the fire sword I accidentally made. Like, and that's like it, and then he'll, he gets to that point where and I was actually going to say this about the end of the book, which I guess we're skipping forward a little bit. Near the end of the book, getting into Rand's head, when he once again thinks he is battling Baalzamon. Spoiler alert, he's not. Of course he's not. We all knew this. I don't know why he thinks he keeps killing them over and over again. Come on, can't be that easy. But there is a point in that book, in that part of the book, where I was like, okay, I guess I kind of understand where you're going with this mental image that we're consistently getting with him, of that like circle of like, I don't want to be the dragon. It is a wheel. Dragon Reborn, I'm the Dragon Reborn. Oh, darn it, I don't want to be the Dragon Reborn. Tam's my dad. No, he's not. Yes, he is my dad. I'm so mad about it, and I'm scared, and I won't admit it to myself. So he's finally admitted to himself that he's Dragon Reborn. And I kind of got, when we got to the end of this, I got a little bit of like, oh, okay, maybe this is him going a little bit mad. Because it is this just like circling thought. I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna defeat the Dark One. It has to be me. I have to do it. I'm so mad. Like, I think reading that near the end, I was like, okay, I guess this is why we've had this why it's been the way it has been in Rand's head, which I don't find it a fun place to be, because like I said, it feels very one note to me. It's the same thing over and over again, and not a lot of depth to that beyond, woe is me, I have this power, but now it's kind of turning into, I have this power, I am so pissed off that it was me, and I need to defeat this person, and it feels like there's a lot of anger, obviously, and I was kind of, I had written that down of like, oh, okay, maybe this is him going mad a little bit with the one power.
Yeah, sure.
But book started off strong, I will tell you. And I rolled my eyes so hard because literally the first time we see Rand, I have to pull out the quote. I wrote, oh boy, Rand is coming out swinging with the whiny. Great. But literally the first time it says, he fell silent, brooding.
Yeah.
Of course.
Gonna brood.
Of course. And he's literally like on a cliff. Like he's like, Perrin's like, I gotta make sure he's okay.
Where else are you gonna
like,
brood?
And like the description of Perrin, because Perrin, I really like Perrin. He's very like, pretty realistic, pretty like, you know, like this is what things are and this is what you have to do kind of a guy. And so he's describing this very treacherous spot that Rand has found for himself. It's like, oh, he's like essentially in his hidey hole that you have to like shimmy down this cliff edge into this little thing and over whatever, but like gotta go take care of him, gotta make sure he's okay. And I just thought it was funny because I feel like had we been in Rand's head, we'd be like, oh, stupid rock. Perrin was like, there's just like a tiny rock and you gotta get in there and it's like kind of difficult. And of course, Rand doesn't listen to his friend Perrin, who's got a good head on his shoulders, and runs away.
That's what he does.
And then we don't see Rand for a very long time, which I was pretty surprised by, especially since the title of this book is The Dragon Reborn.
He really announces himself.
He does. He truly does. Well, and especially, like I said, like it was kind of, we get bits and pieces of him throughout, in the dreams, which, segue, I am obsessed with how we deal with dreams in this world. The way that Perrin has been having his wolf dreams, dope. And then Egwene is experiencing Teleran Riod, which is the dream world. And the explanation of that I thought was so fascinating. Because I think it was Varen describes it. And she's like, okay, cool. Yeah, of course there's multiple realities. Duh.
Obviously, as we all know.
Like, truly, like, literally just like, you know, like, it's just, duh, of course. And then she's like, but then there's also the dream world, which is real, but it's not. And it's like in between all of them. I was like, sign me up. And I was so hoping, I was like, please tell me we get to go to the dream world. Like, I'm so pumped about it. And we did. We spent a lot of time there. I think it was really cool. Egwene was, again, very frustrated, similar to her boy Rand, consistently frustrated with the situation she's been thrown in. But she does consistently force herself into situations in which she reminds me of myself a little bit of the stubbornness of like, I'm gonna keep doing this until it is what I want it to be. Yeah, literally. Sure. I was thinking about that with her and the dreams because she gets what's a Terangriel from, I think, Varen.
Yeah.
That's the ring that allows her to enter Teleran Riod because they think Egwene is a dreamer. I think that's the term.
Yep. If I remember correctly.
Again, sounds cool. But
that's all that matters.
And done. I'm in. Fully in. Then I just thought it was really interesting, you know, she enters and has a job because they're trying to find these Black Aja, these 13 women that have escaped isn't the wrong word. Fled Tar Valon. And so she's got this job and she gets out the first time and is like, well, I don't understand how I didn't do it. Gotta go back in. And I just very much appreciate that kind of a mindset. And I love the little trio. I do miss Min being with these girls, but I love Elaine and Nynaeve and Egwene because they all have something so different and they all support each other completely without question. And to the point of, I loved specifically with the dream stuff, the girls, there was a point as they moved forward and Egwene was exhausted and consistently felt like she needed to do it, and where the girls did talk to her about like, hey, I don't want you to hurt yourself, let's stop for a minute. And Egwene is like, no, I know what I need to do. They're like, okay, cool. I loved that. I was like, yes, support. Because yeah, of course, you don't want to push yourself to the end. You don't want to hurt yourself, but having a group of powerful women that trust that Egwene knows her limits and are there to support her with it, I thought was very powerful. I don't know that other people would have really noted that, but I definitely did in a few of their encounters. So,
how did you feel, I guess, about like our main crew, the Emmonsfield Five? How does I mean, I know we talked about Rand, and we've talked a little bit about Egwene and Nynaeve, so how do you feel about like Perrin and Matt's storyline? Because I feel like everyone really gets their own thing.
They really do,
I mean, like,
yeah.
Egwene and Nynaeve are together, but like Matt and Perrin both kind of have their own stories, and Rand is obviously doing whatever the hell Rand is doing the whole book. So like, how did you feel about the growth of characterization of all of them throughout this?
I thought we got a lot, and I loved that. I loved how different everyone's story felt. Like I had said earlier, the POVs were a little bit jarring of how when we popped into them, but each one was so different that once I was there, I was like in it, which I thought was really great. It felt like everyone really had their own voice, very developed. I feel like I've known Perrin pretty decently. We've gotten in his head quite often, but this was the first time I feel like I really got to know Matt and really got into Matt's head. Matt, literally first moment, great. Very Matt. He wakes up out after having been healed by the Aes Sedai for his connection to the dagger. It was like this whole thing. I thought he was going to die, and then he didn't. And literally his quote is something along the lines of like, well, I think I almost died. Cool, did that, and moved on. I tried to write down the exact quote, and then I couldn't find it again. But it was very similar. Like, well, did that, and now we're on. Now we're done. So that to me set the stage for Matt's
very practical
character.
Boy, our Matt.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not dealing with what I don't need to deal with. Great, moving on and done. And loved that. He went on such a journey.
He really
I feel
did.
like he
He's
was
got some
like
fun bits in
he
this
really
book.
does.
He does.
I feel like he was like pirate, like on a pirate adventure and gambling his life away.
He beats Galad and Gwaine.
Yeah, oh my gosh, I thought that was the biggest flex of all times. When Matt's just like casually like, oh yeah, I'm really cool, I'm really great with this quarterstaff. It took me a minute, and I'd said this to you, it's taken me a minute with Robert Jordan's writing to realize that I don't need to know everything beforehand. I struggle following texts sometimes. Like I forget people's names, or like I feel like I've missed a certain plot point and they'll be talking about it and I missed it. But what I've noticed about this series is Robert Jordan kind of likes the like slow roll with it. Like
absolutely.
When Matt started fighting, I was like, did I miss something? It took me a really long time to figure out what was happening, and then after the fact, we get a little bit more history.
Yes, you get to be
into it.
Genuinely surprised.
Yeah, which actually made me feel less stupid. because sometimes when I read text with more like elevated prose, I feel a little bit dumb because I have a hard time following sometimes, and so I'm reading this being like, oh my god, Liz, what did you miss, you idiot? And then I've noticed, and that's not the only time it's happened, but that's the first time I really pinpointed of like, oh, okay, I don't need to know everything beforehand. He will give me some insider info after the fact, which is fun, and it's kind of made me approach the rest of this particular novel a little bit differently because I didn't feel like I had to have my thinking cap on as much, sure. Which I think has kind of been a block with me for a lot of these books. But
which is great because then you're learning, I mean, you're literally learning to trust the author as over the course of the book, which allows you to give more leeway to bits where you're like, I don't understand what's happening, but now you can trust that the answers will come, which is great.
Yeah, I enjoyed the way that this book was laid out very much. I enjoyed everyone's journeys. I think, like I said, it was really fun to hear everyone's individual voice. It was really fun to go on everyone's adventures in the way because everyone had some pretty big things happen.
Yeah, they did.
Like, you know, Matt meets up with Tom.
Oh, yes, again.
Our
great crew.
Just the two of them together are like the young Sass and the old Sass.
Yes,
like the crabby old
I love them both so
Gleeman, and then the young pompous Sass.
He finds him like getting drunk in a bar. He's like, "Come on, let's go see your ex."
Like, literally. Because also Tom, huge flex, has been with the Queen.
Sure has.
Of course,
Tom
but like,
contains
of course he
multitudes.
has.
We love
Of course
him.
he has. We love Tom.
Yeah.
He's great. Him and Matt together, I think, are the perfect combination.
Yes, they're great.
Just getting up to no good.
Mm-hmm.
And the two of them, like, not trusting each other, but then them falling into situations in which the other was right.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it happens over and over again. And their little sass with each other is just really great. Really, really great. I loved being in the dreamland of Perrin.
Yes.
I thought that was really cool. Again, obviously I love the dreamland. But we finally, Perrin got a wolf form.
Yes, he did.
In the dreamland, which I was reading it and I was like, yeah. Like, it's about time. Because him and Hopper are just...
Bros. Just hang out.
Yeah, bros. Just bros. And Hopper's always like, okay. He's like, you shouldn't be here. It's really dangerous. But like, come on.
Fun. Okay.
Yeah. And then he turned into a wolf and that was cool. He's got a lady friend.
Yeah, how do you like her?
I like her.
Right.
I
Cool.
am hoping that I get to know more about her. It was funny. I think it is partially because I've read a lot of books that she came in and I was like, oh, there she is. Like,
well, a lot of times, I mean, to be fair, a lot of times, I find this across most books. I mean, I think it's very apparent when it comes to, like, actual romance books, now that I've read a few, thanks to this channel. But even when it's not, like, if you see them really breaking down what a character looks like, especially their face, you can be like, this is probably going to be, this character's going to be here for a while.
Yeah. I thought it was, well, and also, it has been kind of fun because we have a lot of little snaps of the future from Min.
Yeah.
And those have kind of rolled back in slowly over and over again, and this
Isn't
woman...
it crazy to, like, look at some of that stuff and think about how much planning must have had to go into this to keep
never
it all together? It
I don't ever want to be an author.
Mind.
Please keep writing so I can read it.
Yeah.
I don't want to read it. It's so impressive.
Yeah.
It's wildly impressive. So that was fun. Yeah, I like her. I'm intrigued to get more. She seemed like a very good match for Perrin. Because he's a little like, he would like to stay in the shadows.
He sure would.
And she very much is like, come on, farm boy. And it's cute. He rescued. I did think it was funny because this is not a romance novel. We're not getting the intricacies of flirtation and the slow burn or anything like that. So when someone has like decided that they are like in love, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. Like, where'd it go? Because it happened with Nynaeve and Lan. Like, we didn't really like get anything, and then it was like there was like a conversation about like, I can't marry you, blah blah blah. I was like, when did we get there? Hold on. And it kind of felt similar with Perrin and I can't remember her name.
Fail? F-A-I-L-E? Am I saying that wrong?
Fail. That's how Rosamund Pike said
Well,
it.
I've never listened to the audiobooks, so I don't know.
But the Falcon, we all know she's the Falcon because that's when Perrin was like, oh great, Min said I was going to meet a Falcon, and here she is.
God.
And also like, surely it can't be her, and it's like, dude, who do you think it is? Of course it's going to be her. She falls into a trap set for Moiraine by the Black Aja and gets trapped in the dream world, and Perrin goes on this like trek, just this absolute journey to free her, and then it's like we come out of it and it's like, oh my boy, and I'm like, oh okay, I didn't get anything, I want more. I was like, yeah sure, of course, yeah you're in love, we skipped everything else.
Don't worry, you'll get a ton of it with Rand. So much love for Rand. I just like bothering you about this.
I know you do. I know you do. What else do I want to talk about? Oh my gosh, I had this thought the other day. I was watching a Friends production of Sound of Music, and the nuns were speaking in the beginning, and there was like a mistress of novices, and I was like, oh my god, the Aes Sedai are nuns. Oh, okay. This opened so many things with me because Catholic background. And so I know, I understand kind of, I have a certain idea of what that lifestyle is and who those people are and how they function. And I've been looking at these Aes Sedai as these like cool, witchy, and I say witchy in a very positive way, powerful women. And then this book was the first time that I was like, these girls are a little convoluted, a little tricksy, because there were so many things within the rules that they have and the ideas that they have of how they can use their magic and how the novices are treated and what you have to do to become an Aes Sedai and, you know, giving up your worldly belongings and all of these things. I was like, oh god, they're nuns. Okay, this makes sense to me now. Of this, like, because it's not, and I don't mean to put nuns in a negative position, but it's more controlling than I thought.
Yes. Very much so.
The magic, the women that control the magic aren't as free as I first thought that they were. There's a lot of rules, and there's a lot of, I think, nonsense behind the scenes. I first noted it when they're coming back with Egwene, and I think Varen is the one that's leading them back, and Egwene has just been taken from the Shanchen. She's just been released, and they come upon a group of White Cloaks, and they're threatening them, and they move to a place in which Egwene in her head is like, I don't see us moving beyond this without getting physical. And so she starts using the earth magic that the Shanchen taught her, which I thought was kind of dope. And Egwene and Elaine do the same, because they're like, cool, I can figure this out. And I do love, I said Egwene and Elaine. Elaine and Nynaeve start doing the same. And I love that Nynaeve can just see something and then immediately copy it.
As long as she's mad.
As long as she's mad. She can only use one power when she's mad. But I thought it was really interesting because Varen was livid with them for using it to... She was like, we don't use it to harm people, but they were using it to defend themselves. And it's also, I don't think, at least in this point, they really harmed anyone. But it really made me rethink how, and I'm sure we'll get more into Tarvalon and the politics of all of that nonsense.
Oh, very much so.
Of how they have come up with these rules to control these women, which is probably a different form of what the Shanchen were doing, but just in a more, like, mental way of, like, the way that they're... I don't know, I just thought it was it made me really think. It really made me think of, like, why are we so upset that this person is using their power for just using their power, essentially. And it seems like if you've got it, why can't it be a kind of a weapon-y thing, to an extent? But it just made me really kind of think of like everything they talk about with the Aes Sedai and the way it's tiered and how all of the systems are set up, and so many of the things were like the arches. They're like, we don't know where they came from. We don't know how they work.
But we know that they do, so...
Excuse me? What?
Yeah.
And there's a lot missing, I feel like, from these people that are coming at these younger women, at these women in general, with this idea that they know it all, and yet they very obviously don't, and we're getting bits and pieces of that back.
Yeah.
I find it interesting.
Yeah, I mean, that particular instance with the White Cloaks, I mean, the whole reason that they don't use it against people is part of the oath, the 3 oaths that they take, and all of that. And I mean, a lot of it harkens back to the men used the one power to break the world, and so there is a stigma around it at all.
Yeah, for sure.
And there's, so they're essentially trying to protect themselves from, like, potential witch hunts. And part of the reason that it's so bad to do it in front of the White Cloaks is, like, the White Cloaks are, like, the people who would lead those.
Yeah, the worst. No, that's fair.
Yeah, so I mean, in that particular instance, that's why. But, I mean, your questions are entirely valid.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. It made me, and I understand that, and that makes a lot of sense. It made me really kind of want to take a magnifying lens to Tarvalon.
We're going to get really into the politics of Tarvalon as the course of the series goes, so you're gonna get a lot of those answers. This is the first video that we've done where I'm like, not only am I like, okay, I want to make sure I'm not spoiling anything for you, but we're touching on things and characters and concepts and stuff that I'm like, I don't even know that I can say really anything, because I don't want to taint your thought process towards it going forward. And I've felt that way like 3 times already in this video and not said anything, so... Ooh.
That's fun.
Interesting. So keep talking.
I like that. Okay.
I'm afraid of saying stuff.
I like that the Green Aja are like horny. That was like
they are. The Green Aja is the orgy Aja.
It was what's her name? I love the woman who plays her in the show. Egwene has when she goes through the arches. I love that we get to go through the arches. I like that we got to do it with Nynaeve. I'm sad we didn't get to do it with Elaine, but I understand that she's not one of the Emmonsfield 5, so she's not necessarily that POV character we're gonna get, but I would like to. I like her a lot. In one of Egwene's arch experiences, she was Green Asha, and she was the Amelin Seed. Egwene comes out of her journey and is like, what does it mean to be a green Aes Sedai? And she talks to Alana, and she's like, you have to love men. And in a way, it was definitely like a very sexual vibe, not like oh, you have to love men. She was like, you have to really love men, and like just like love men. And Egwene's like, that's not what I mean. I'm like, what do you do? It was brilliant. It was beautiful. And I liked getting a little bit, and we've gotten peppered in a bit more about the Ajas and what their point is. I guess what each one is best at.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that we keep getting it because I keep forgetting of who's who. I want to be a Green Aja.
I always love that the blue is like, I don't know, they're gonna like save the world or something.
They're always just gonna be like where they need to be.
Yeah, they're just trying to save the world or something. I don't really know.
Green Aja are the horny warriors.
Yes.
I enjoy that a lot. I thought that was fun. Oh, I really loved, there was a long section where we got Perrin doing ironwork, and I thought it was so beautifully written.
Oh, I thought you were about to say hot.
So hot.
Okay, good to know.
So hot. It was so hot. No, it was cool to see him in his prime, like see him in his absolute essence.
Yeah.
And the description, I just thought the wording of it was stunning. Like it was just absolutely beautiful. I could picture exactly where we were. It was so, I felt so in the moment with it, and I just thought it was really beautiful. And it was another time that we really got to see Perrin in his element, and I think Perrin is the sweet giant. You know, everyone's like, he's so large and he's so strong. But I think, like I said earlier, he would rather fade into the background.
Absolutely.
So to see him like shine in something that he feels very comfortable shining with was really beautiful.
Yeah.
And I enjoy him a lot. One of the last things I wrote down was, so Matt is set off on this journey by the three girls, because they're like, we gotta tell Elaine's mom that she's leaving, but she's fine. I don't know who's gonna take this letter. Matt, got it. It's gonna be Matt. Yeah. Of course, Matt. They literally have a moment where they're like, I know. And so Matt is like, I gotta deliver this letter. Great. I'm so glad to get out of here. He meets Tom. They get on a bunch of ships. He wins all the money in the world. He's great. He's literally killing people left and right with his quarterstaff. Just killing people. Got himself some fireworks, whatever. Delivers the letter.
I love the Illuminators Guild. They're fun.
Oh,
I think they're great.
I was literally, the woman we met, I was like, I want more of her. Like, this feels fun to me. I'm assuming they made a big deal about the fireworks, so I feel like probably
people don't know how they're made, so...
Except for Matt taking them apart. And like, gotta know. And I love to...
Because he had said... like a bomb.
He had said he had done it when he was a kid and got in trouble. And then with this one, Tom's like, promise me that you will not take these apart. And he's like, yeah, I won't do it. And then Tom at some point is like sleeping or something and Matt's taking him apart. And he's like, nothing happened. It's fine.
It's fine.
Brilliant. And then so he goes on the journey, he gets the letter to the queen, then finds out about this plan to kill Elaine with one of Morghese's, it's like her
lover.
Yeah, but he's also something. He's like he's head of the guard or something. Yeah, with that, which like feels obvious the way they kind of talked about him. I think in the first book too. There was one of those where there was a few phrases where it's like, this is meant to be like, hey, suspicious, you know. So then Matt's like, well, I gotta rescue my girls. Yeah. Period. Like, no questions asked. He's like, well, I gotta do it. But also he kind of like has the energy of like,
yeah, he resents it.
Like, I have to save my best friends type of a thing. So he goes on this journey. It's so great. The girls are doing their own thing. They've almost figured out how to get out of there. They open the door and there's Matt. And they're like, what the hell are you doing here? And he literally just says, he's like, came to bloody rescue you. I'm like, you didn't need me. Okay, fine. You're welcome. And I just thought it was a very Matt moment. And I love that we're getting more. These characters feel so much more defined in that. I was like, of course, that is exactly how Matt would respond to this. That is exactly. Not like, oh my God. It's like, I was trying to do this thing.
Yep.
So they escape and it was great.
Yeah.
And there's a big battle. Rand gets the translucent sword of light. Thinks he kills Beelzemont. Of course he doesn't. I thought that it was a little bit jarring to go back to Rand, especially in this moment where it was a very big battle. I kind of felt like I'm supposed to be like pumped about this, but I'm kind of like, hey, what's up, Rand? Where have you been? You know? It's this like, we get little bits and pieces of him in this dream world with his friends, but it's all like, again, I accidentally killed people with my fire sword. Darn it. So the battle was like cool. It's interesting to find out that whomever has been taunting Rand is not the Dark One, is one of the Forsaken. And you know, Rand, and I think it is great. Rand is like, I did it. I killed him. Finally. And Moraine's like, you really think he's going to be a human?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's very funny, and Rand is very angry, gets very mad. And so I do think it's interesting I'm interested to see where he goes next round, because Next round. Round 3, round 4. Where are we at? 4th book. Because I do think that he is so angry in this one at the end of it. And like I said, I feel like this felt kind of like a little teaser into him going a bit mad. Yeah. And part of that was by the role he's been given and also the taunting he's been having from Baalsman. So it'll be really interesting to see how that goes. If he's going to be okay, if he's going to be really mad. But now he's got a sword of light. Oh, and we found out that the Aiel are like the dragon people.
Yes.
They're cool. I would love more of them.
Well, you're lucky there's going to be a lot.
Well, that's one of those things where, like, again, throughout...
It's like a big reveal at the end that they're like the people of the dragon, the children of the dragon. And so,
I didn't understand why that felt like a big deal. I was like, okay, was I supposed to be really excited about that? That they were the people of the dragon?
That there's literally an entire culture of people who are like looking for the Dragon Reborn. I mean, it seems like it might be a big deal.
But doesn't it feel like everyone else is doing that?
Yes, and that's kind of the point.
Why?
Because the prophecy kind of exists across different cultures.
Okay.
At least, I mean, that's how I was looking. I thought that was really interesting because it kind of pops up here and there throughout like the whole series of like you meet a new people and they have their own version of the prophecy of the dragon.
Sure. That's why everyone's getting married and all the weird things that happen when Rand is around.
Well, that's more that he is so Ta'veren.
Ta'veren,
he's so Ta'veren. I actually really loved that sequence where they go into the town and it's like they have like 6 weddings.
Yes, and there was also other points where like some weird things was happening and weird things were happening and Perrin was talking to Moraine and was like, well, there's no weddings. Like, do you think it was Rand? Like, anytime weird things are happening, they're like,
exactly.
You think it was because of Rand? Because they're trying to find him the whole time. But yeah, I thought that was fun. I'm really intrigued to get more Aiel. It's very obvious from the beginning that they're important for how much they talk about him. Rand is obviously Aiel.
You think so?
Yes.
Okay. Why?
Because everyone's like, oh, you got red hair and you look like the Aiel. And they've said it at least 4,000 times. In all of the books that I've read. Am I wrong?
I don't know.
Yes, you do. I think they've been like hinted at so often that obviously we're gonna get more of them. I would be sad if we didn't because I'm very intrigued. Obviously, it's a culture in which these other cultures are very intrigued by or scared of XYZ. So intrigued to get more of them.
Good, great. Yeah. Well, you definitely will. So overall, well, first, what do you want to rate this out of? I personally think that the answer is obvious.
Sword.
Yeah, Calendar. Yeah.
Calendar, yeah. Thank you. I keep thinking, because there was...
I could be saying it wrong, but...
I think
actually,
Calendar.
You would know. Is that how it's pronounced? Great, Calendar.
Rosamund Pike is great. This is the last book that she narrates, though.
Well, I mean, maybe she'll do more if the series continues.
She's great.
Great.
Anyways, yeah, I think it should be Calendors. Light swords.
How many Calendors would you rate this?
I give this one a 4.
That's very exciting.
Yeah.
4. That's good.
I was going to give it a 4.5 right when I finished it, but I was like, Liz, you're really excited. It did take you a long time to read this. It was a little bit hard to understand, so maybe you can hold that back. But I love this book. I really enjoyed it. I wish I could read them faster, but here we are.
Here we are. I'm going to give this a 5 out of 5 Calendars.
Nice.
I still remember reading this book, and this was the first one that I really truly loved.
Yeah.
For a lot of reasons, including Matt is one of my favorite characters in the whole series, and this is where he really starts to become who he ends up becoming, which I loved, and I just think a lot of stuff really came together. I also feel like this book almost feels like it ends like the first trilogy of the Wheel of Time, almost, because it
almost feels like our crew grows up a little bit.
Yeah, it kind of completes the story, and also the world expands like exponentially after this. So, yeah, I loved this book.
This is a great one, Dragon Reborn.
Dragon Reborn.
I was hesitant because of the title, but I loved it.
Alright, well, thank you so much for watching the video. If you like this video or want to see more of them, please like and subscribe, and...
Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you on our next adventure.